I'm sure we all remember the glory days of waking up Saturday morning and playing free games with your friends. Surprisingly enough, a lot of those games are still around, and while some are tons of fun, others are tons of not. Hey guys, it's Roast, and today I want to try a different style of video where we determine if an older game is worth revisiting today. So in this video, we're going to cover Spiral Knights, a hack and slash dungeon crawler that I first played all the way back in 2012. Towards the goal of finding out whether or not it's worth playing again, I'll intro the game, and then we'll look at the things it does well and the things it does poorly before giving it some kind of score. If you guys enjoy, make sure to hit subscribe and mash the bell so you get notified when I post stuff, and as always, huge thanks to my Patreon people for supporting the channel. Let's get started. If you've never played it before, Spiral Knights is a free-to-play action-adventure game with a focus on co-op. It is PC only. You can get it through Steam or through their website. Your gameplay will consist of entering the clockworks, with or without friends, defeating monsters and bosses, and taking the loot you find to craft upgrades for your gear. Those gear crafting trees have a nice amount of depth, and you can choose to specialize your gear for the types of enemies you'll be facing. Each floor in the clockworks is randomly picked each run, so no two runs will ever be the exact same. With the basics covered, let's get into what Spiral Knights does well. So the first thing is that it's free to play, and when I see free to play, you just have to check it to see just how free to play is it. Are there expansions locked behind paywalls? Are there features you can only access by spending money? Does spending money rapidly enhance your progress or make you stronger than other players can ever possibly become? In terms of expansions, there is one DLC that you can buy for $6, but nothing besides that, and no big important things locked behind that DLC. In terms of features being locked behind paywalls, well, there aren't any. And in terms of getting stronger than others, spending exorbitant amounts of money can help you get better gear a little faster, but that usage is locked behind your current mission progression, and you can never ever get stronger than other players just through money. The main point of spending money in Spiral Knights is going to be primarily to access vanity items, and honestly, I'm cool with that. If you did want some of the premium currency things, there is also a system in which you can exchange the free currency for the premium one. So the second thing Spiral Knights does well is that it's a fun, simple co-op game in a similar vein to Castle Crashers and a couple others. There are some cool animation cancels you can do, but overall no big things to screw up outside of getting combat timing down and using the right weapon against the right enemy. This means nobody gets flamed, and everyone just has a fun, not too punishing time. And I know this sounds a little weird, but I make a point out of all of this because I'm coming from games like League of Legends, Escape from Tarkov, and Realm of the Mad God, all of which are very, very punishing games with steep learning curves, which doesn't make for great pickup games with your buddies. If you get friends to join, you can join their missions in progress, not just from the start screen, which gives you a lot of leeway in finding time to play with each other. If you aren't a co-op gamer, you can always play Spiral Knights solo or with random groups. The game will never force you to party up, and all of the content can easily be handled alone. I just personally love co-op. Number 3 of things Spiral Knights does well is that in addition to having a much more manageable learning curve, Spiral Knights also has a really friendly community. As I was making this video, some of my friends who got started recently told me just how helpful others had been in teaching them the ropes and running missions with them. I also personally have been helped by the community when I'm curious about different factoids or I just need one little material for my next big upgrade. And lastly, the combat system is simple but really enjoyable. There are different weapon damage types, and each enemy has a specific weakness and strength, just like in games like Pokemon. Each weapon also has a different multi-hit combo and a charge attack that it can use, and as you learn the attack patterns of different enemies, you are rewarded by being able to get bigger hits in. In terms of swapping up your combat style, if you prefer up close and personal, or range combat, or a mix of the two, you can swap between different weapons, because there's a sword, a gun, and a bomb, and you can carry more than one of each time. If you just want to walk around being a cowboy gunslinger, you can do that. If you just want to run all over the place dropping bombs, you can do that too. And if you just want to run on with a sword, you're all set. So, now that we've covered the good things, let's talk about the not so good things. The first issue with Spiral Knights being as old as it is that the dev team doesn't really make new updates for the game. Thankfully, there aren't that many bugs, so those aren't the primary issue, but it would be nice to get some new content. There are occasionally events, but these are usually just repeats of events from the past ones, so that you can get some of the gear from the events, because some of the gear from the events is actually some of the better gear in the game. There have been rumors going around to Spiral Knights being bought out by a new developer, so maybe that new developer would revive the cycle of updates, but that's just rumors. The second issue of Spiral Knights is that the game will occasionally crash or lag. The crashing is caused by the original game being set to only use so much memory, and it is something that you can fix, but it's something you have to go into game files and manually alter for the game to run as well as it can. In addition to that, fairly frequently, you'll get a little lag spike. This seems to be a global occurrence regardless of your internet provider or global location, and while it's not usually too bad, occasionally it can make you take an extra hit, which can be really annoying in the later levels. And my last issue, or potentially your last problem with Spiral Knights, is that it can be a little bit grindy. When you first go through your storyline, the game will give you a lot of materials and the recipes that you'll need to get 5-star gear. However, if you waste those materials, trying to grind for them a second time can be quite painful. On my original account, I made a bunch of the crappier gear and spread out my resources all over the place, so I never even got to the end game. On my new account, I've just been playing here and there with my friends. I think I've put a third of the time in as my old account, and I'm already way farther along because I plan just a little ahead and I use my resources well. Now, the game being a little grindy, like I said, can be good or bad depending on your preferences. I don't mind too much where it is, I just wish there was a better way to plan out your gear path in game and for new players to learn what the end items were without going on the wiki and looking. In conclusion, Spiral Knights is a fun game to play with your friends when you don't want to stress your brain and rather just blow away hordes of enemies like in Deep Rock Galactic or Warhammer Vermintide. It definitely shows some signs of its age, but it's hard to go wrong with free-to-play co-op. If you enjoy games like that, Spiral Knights is perfect for you to get into with friends in 2022. If you do join and want to join a friendly guild, the guild I've joined, Chumpions, is always looking for new people. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This is my first time making a Should You Play in 2022 video like this, so if you enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. Thanks again to my Patreon person, and until next time, keep beefy, boys.
Hello there.